Next on the program, 9.1% unemployment rate. And is the government tracking you?
I know they're tracking me because I got my flu shot this week.
What? Hello and welcome to the Phatman and Littleboy show. I am your host, Phatman.
And I'm Little Boy.
And welcome to our podcast. This is podcast number 8.
All right.
8. We're moving along.
We are moving right along.
So, Little Boy, how was your week?
Week's been good. How about yours?
Kind of uneventful, you know, as you heard earlier today when you called me. My wife and youngest daughter were getting into it. It's unbelievable how the teenage years are.
Yes, that happens when you have teenagers.
Yeah, and you just kind of hope that, well, two things. One, that they grow up tomorrow and that they move out.
Yes.
Yeah. I saw a thing.
Not exactly in that order either.
No, I mean, they move out, then grow up. That's okay, too. Actually, I saw a little JPEG picture on Facebook this week. Did you see it? Where it said, kids, move out now, go get a job. Oh, it was
While you know everything.
While you know
like
everything before employers know.
I've seen that before.
I thought that was funny.
Yes.
Little Boy, I got to talk about this. Well, two things. One, this is our first webisode.
Hello.
Wave to Webland. Two, Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
They call this a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, a netcast for that, but a podcast.
Correct.
And for an iPod.
It is unbelievable how much he contributed to technology.
He was the only reason why we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody else would have come up with something, but
it wouldn't be nearly as as popular.
No. You have an iPhone.
I do.
So you do use some Mac products. I used to use Mac all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And for graphics, it's unbelievable.
My dad is a complete Apple nerd. He just, everything that, from Apple, he is all over.
We should have called him today.
Yeah.
He could have talked a little bit about the Jobs situation.
Yeah, he's a big fan of Apple.
Well, 1955 to 2011, we want to send our condolences out to the family. He left behind a wife and 4 kids, as well as a multi-billion-dollar corporation that they took a bit of a hit with some of the stock issues. They actually, not to go off of Jobs, because I did want to kind of put in, have you ever seen a movie called The Pirates of Silicon Valley?
No, I've heard of it, but I never saw it.
Great movie. Came out in 1999. It was Noah Wiley played Steve Jobs. If you watch the movie, it kind of changes a little bit of your thinking, because don't forget, Jobs was a shrewd businessman.
Well, yeah.
And no one in that position, with that wealth hasn't done some things. And, they credit Apple for the mouse and the icon-driven machines, but actually it was Xerox.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was Xerox that actually produced that. And they were going to put it into production, but their production manager, he didn't like it. Or it might have even been the vice president of the company. It's been a little while since I watched the movie, and I also read a little book about it too. But they didn't want it, so they invited Jobs and Wozniak over to take a look at it, and they gave him a machine to take and break apart. So it was a Xerox thing. I mean, now don't get me wrong, Mac took it from there and made it unbelievable, and then they were ripped off by Microsoft later.
Well, aren't most things that everybody uses is something that somebody has just improved on something else.
Better mousetrap.
Yeah.
Better mousetrap. So, but anyway, Steve Jobs, I feel just heartbroken this week. Earlier,
I was surprised when I heard about it, and not surprised at the same time, because everybody knew he'd been really sick. The fact that he just all of a sudden had died, it was surprising.
Well, and you knew something was up, because he left, and then he wasn't there.
But he had stepped down before, though, hadn't he, in the past?
Well, it wasn't step down. He was actually forced out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was forced out. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how corporations work like that. I know that it was him and Wozniak who started it, and then you start to sell stock when you become public, and then you have a chairman of the board, and then the board, isn't they're responsible for the investors, and they can oust you. I don't know how they do it. I know they can do it. It's funny, we should have talked to Dave about that, because Dave is an attorney. We talked last week, and he could have got it. He's actually a corporate attorney, so he could have. And he worked for Microsoft, so
talk to him again.
Yeah, we could have. But anyway, yeah, and then he came back to Mac and developed the whole thing,
right?
The iMac. Remember the ones that had all the color?
Yep.
And then after that, of course, the iPod, and then after that, the iPhone,
right?
Then the iPad.
I had an iPod, and then I went to the iPhone.
Yeah.
Well, my dad has an iPad, of course, because he's an Apple nerd.
I'm a PC guy, and so as you can see, I use a compact or a Toshiba. You got your compact, and then my tablet is Asus, and I love all Google products, so it runs Android. Now, so what I wanted to ask you about was, oh gosh, now I just lost my train of thought. We can go into the next subject.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna have to come back. Oh, I got it. Sorry about that. The iPhone 4S.
Yeah.
Were you disappointed?
Well, I'm going to tell you why I was disappointed. Because I currently have an iPhone 3. I don't have the service, the correct cellular service. I have a jailbroken phone. So what I do is I wait for people that I know to get the new iPhone, and then I purchase their old one from them.
Well, now the iPhone 4, regular iPhone 4 that my kids have, that's on sale now for $99.
Yeah, but you have to add it on your plan.
You don't have your service.
I don't have the service. That's the problem. I could go buy one, but they're really expensive,
If you buy it straight out without the plan.
Right, without the plan. And so my dad, I was telling him, well, when you get that iPhone 5, just take that iPhone 4 and throw it in the mail and send it to me. I'll be happy to take it, and he was going to, but I don't think he's going to get the iPhone 4S. Buddy in my work says he's thinking about it, and if he does, I'll buy his old one from him, for a better price. But I just can't see dropping, all that money on a new phone,
Well, there's a few things. One, it's still 3G. I can't understand why they didn't come out with a 4G. The second thing is it has a little better memory, but has that ever been a problem for you?
No.
And it has a much better camera.
Yeah, the camera kind of sucks on the one that I have right now. So
if you take a lot of video, a lot of pictures, I can see. A lot of the experts, I watch Twit TV all the time, and a lot of the experts on that were saying it's best to just hang out maybe and wait.
That's what I think a lot of people are going to do.
It's terrible.
The big announcement, I think, is that Sprint got the iPhone now, too.
They bought,
they had to buy
billions of dollars worth.
They had to buy a ton of them, and they talked about how, I don't remember what it was a lot of them they had to buy, and then they talked about how many of the iPhones AT&T and Verizon had sold so far, and it wasn't anywhere near the amount that they made Sprint buy. So, maybe I can wait and buy one from Sprint. Maybe they'll go on sale.
And then if you listen to which was very difficult to do if you've tried out there, to listen to the announcements that they had on Tuesday, they just at the end kind of threw it in there. Oh, yeah. And Sprint's going to have our...
Right.
They spent
I think the big deal for Sprint is the fact that I guess they're the only cell phone that really has an unlimited data plan. And so that might make more people subscribe to it.
That will. Yeah. That will. I actually am on Verizon, and because I've had Verizon since, it was AirTouch Cellular. Before AirTouch Cellular, it was Pactel Cellular. My account is from then. Myself, my family, we all have unlimited, and we also have unlimited tether. And that's it just doesn't happen. Yeah. There's just not, and that's why I will not change my plan, and I'll just stick with it forever, I guess. Let's get into some topics, because we have a lot of topics. Yes. First topics are we still have a 9.1 over the country jobless rate.
Yeah, but I think that's actually better than they were expecting.
Well, there's good and bad news. Okay. The good news is some jobs were made. The bad news is some jobs are lost. I think we're at a net gain of 1 or 2.
I heard that it actually ended up being better than they thought, because a lot of Verizon employees ended up going back to work. There was a bunch of them that were out of work, and that was part of it. But I think that if you step back and look, this is not great news, but it's not it's okay news. It's not bad.
Well, it's been 3 months with no change, and I don't know if you've been following in the news the march that's basically happening in it's a protest. It's a gigantic protest is happening all over the place.
When I see big protests like that, I usually don't pay a whole lot of attention to them, just because I think that it's your right to protest and everything like that, but it's not my bag, baby.
You don't? You don't? That doesn't seem right. It sounds like something you would be involved in when people are out there protesting, because if they were protesting gays in the military or Roe versus Wade, I think you'd be right there.
I wouldn't. That's not my thing. I've never been into protesting.
Pacifist, are you?
No, it's not my thing.
I'm just messing
it's
with
just
you.
not my thing. If I think that you have the right to do it. I don't have a problem with people doing it, but it's not for me.
Well, they're blaming the administration, of course. They're also blaming Wall Street.
Yeah.
For not, kind of getting on the ball, the administration for not getting on the ball and getting things passed. Also, the watering down of the jobs bill, which when we talked about before, there was things I did like about the jobs bill, and you too. Now it's getting completely destroyed.
Well,
and
unfortunately, the Republicans aren't going to let it.
No. It's not on the Republican
They're going to
side.
fight it. They're fighting it because they do not want Obama to accomplish anything.
It's his own party right now that is really hitting him on the jobs bill. They are watering it down.
It's the Republicans.
No, because see, the Democrats want him to remove some of the tax breaks. They want him to remove some of the tax incentives, and Republicans want to leave those in there. And
Republicans don't want him to pass it at all.
But here's the thing. He can't get it past his own side. So it's not even that you could just put it all on the Republicans, because who's in control right now is the Republicans in one part of our system. So the Democrats can very easily get it through the other side. They just need a couple of Republican votes, but that's not what's happening. What's happening right now is he can't get his own party behind him on this project. And I think that's what's happening. What do you feel on that?
I think that it's, like I said before, I think that it's just like back when Clinton was the president, and the Republicans just did not want him to accomplish anything. And it's the same thing. They're gonna say no matter what he says. They're gonna say no. And it's unfortunate because he actually, and I've heard you even say this before, he's not governing so far from the left. He's more towards the middle, and he's actually trying to kind of meet in the middle, and that's not good enough for the Republicans.
So you're saying right now, in your thinking, it's actually the fact that it's the Republicans, that the Democrats aren't involved in stopping.
I'm sure there's a few Democrats that probably wish that it was more left, but I think that the problem is the Republicans.
I disagree with you on this one.
Of course you do.
I disagree with you for the fact that the president himself said he's having issues with the Democrats to get it through.
There might be a couple issues with the Democrats, but the overall problem is not there.
So what is he going to do to fix this?
I don't know.
Is the best use of his time to get out there and just start campaigning?
Yes. I think it needs to be passed.
No. He's not campaigning for the bill. I'm talking about
he's pushing for the bill. He's pushing for the bill.
So he's not campaigning.
Didn't he just
for
have
himself?
A big thing today on the? He had a big press conference today talking about the bill.
Okay, but he's out on the road campaigning for his next election.
Unfortunately, that's a part of politics. He has to do that.
So his time.
We've talked about this in the past, and the second you get elected, your number one objective, and that's in any office. What's your number one objective?
To get reelected?
Of course.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, and that's the game he has to play, and I don't like it myself. But, I would like to see him get reelected, so he's going to have to do it.
If you're going to throw this out there for the people to grab, you know what I mean? And you're going to throw out this job bill right before you're going to go on campaign, you have to get all of your ducks in a row before you do this. He needed his party behind him, and they're not. He needed this help to get this thing done, and it's not happening.
I think you're going to see the problem is not going to be the Democrats getting this passed. The problem is going to be the Republicans.
But if all the Democrats voted for it, you don't think you'd get a handful of Republicans to vote for it?
No.
But if you had...
Republicans are very, very united. That is one thing about the Republicans. They are united.
But you could get it passed without the Republicans. You can get it passed without any Republican.
Yeah, but you're not going to get every single Democrat because that's not the way they are. You're not going to get them all just to say I'm voting because it's a Democratic thing. If they don't like it, you're going to have a few that don't like it.
You can have a few that are way left that aren't going to do it. So yeah, I think you are correct. I do believe that the Republican and Conservative Party are more united together.
Right.
And
I don't think that's a good thing, by the way.
I do.
Of course you do.
I do because
you think along those lines.
Well, because
you want them to all stand behind each other, whether they truly believe something something or not, you want them just to stand together.
You have to stand for something.
Yeah, but if you don't believe in something, why would you stand for it?
No, it's not if they don't believe it or
they
not.
do. They stand together.
It's the fundamental of it.
You all get together, you all sit down, you listen to what Rush says, and then you all do that. Whether you believe it or not, you say, we got to be united, we need to stand together, we need to show a united front, and this is what we're going to do. And you all say, okay.
Well, that's not exactly true, but I do believe
it's pretty damn close.
When you have something that you stand for, you stand behind it, and you don't be wishy-washy. I know that you're kind of wishy-washy, but
I'm not. I'm open. That's you call that wishy-washy. I call it open. I'm interested in learning, and if I learn something that I didn't know before, my position can change. But not you. Once you think you know something, that's it. There's nothing. You are so afraid to admit that your mind has been changed.
That's not true.
That is absolutely true, and you know it. You can't even say that without laughing.
No.
The second that came out of your mouth, the big freaking smile came up on your face, and I'm so happy the camera's up today to show that.
Let me tell you why I loved it so much, because I love the way you're passionate about things, but then... Yeah, but it could change tomorrow.
Because it can. You can always learn more. You have to be open to learning.
Well,
there's lots of things that I don't believe today that I believed 10, 20 years ago.
Like what, the Tooth Fairy?
The Tooth Fairy's one of them, yes.
You believed the Tooth Fairy 10 years ago?
Not 10 years ago.
Ooh, Paige the intern. Paige the intern. Thank you, Paige. I got a copy from our friends at Bleep Bucks.
$4?
Yeah. Oh, hey, whatever happened to that?
I don't know. I still have the proof or whatever, but I haven't really done nothing with it yet.
All right. U.S. versus Jones.
U.S. versus Jones.
Have you read anything about the U.S. versus Jones?
I hadn't heard a word of it. You sent me something today. I didn't read the article. I just saw what it was about. It was kind of interesting.
About it?
Yes.
Well, the Supreme Court is getting ready to hear this. This is going to be in November. Does law enforcement have to have a warrant to put GPS tracking on your vehicle that just tells them within so many hours approximately where you have been? And so the Supreme Court is going to find out they're going to make the decision. Do they have to get a warrant? Yes or no? And, is it a violation of your rights?
Just to randomly do it?
Well, I don't think they're going to randomly go to my car or your car. I think there has to, there's a reason behind it.
Right, but in order for there to be a reason, don't they have to present that reason to somebody? They can't just say, oh, guess what? We have a reason. Let's just track this guy's car?
Well, okay, here's the thing. They're saying that if the vehicle is on private property, that... while it's on private property, they can put the attachment on the vehicle. I don't know what it looks like. I'm just going off this. They could put it on the car because it was on the private property. And I think they're kind of going under the assumption that when you're on private property that is somebody else's, that you kind of don't have the same... I really don't know, but I think they're saying you don't have the same right to privacy.
For me, the issue isn't... whether it's on private property or not, installing it on there, that's a whole nother issue. For me, it's the fact that they're tracking somebody's car without... where's the checks and balances here? Somebody has to approve this.
Well, they're not going by. And I don't really know where I fall onto this, because I wouldn't want it to happen to me. But at the same time, doesn't your cell phone have GPS in it? And my cell phone.
Yeah, but can't you? You don't have to carry a cell phone though. You know what I mean?
Well, you don't have to drive that car.
Well, okay, so then they could put in a shoe, and then you say you don't have to wear a shoe. Where does that end?
I don't know, but it's the same kind of argument.
I know, you're right. There's a different line. You're right. We can go from cell phone to car to shoe.
Well, because you can. It's the waste of Kevin Bacon here. Because here's the thing. I believe that every cell phone after 9/11, I don't know when it was put into effect, but this could be a rumor, but I'm pretty sure it's the truth, that every cell phone has GPS tracking in it.
I don't think that's true.
I do. I think it's true.
Well, I think that in order to access that, they have to have a warrant. They can't just, they have to have something from a judge. They can't just do it.
But see, now that's because it's voice. Your cell phone is your voice. And I think they have to they can't access the voice part. But I think the GPS part, because that goes, just last week or 2 weeks ago now, a lot of the major carriers had put out what they keep and what they don't keep as far as your texting, where you are, the calls you make, and some places delete it.
All that stuff you have to have to access that, just like phone records and everything. You can't just do it. You have to have a written order.
I don't think
you can't just do it. They can't
because the cell phone companies know where you are. They know where you are at all times.
Yeah, but that stuff is locked down. It's not just available for anybody to look at. Even if you're an employee of the company, you can't just say, "Oh, you know what? This guy. Let's check out where this guy is." That's all hidden stuff. That's not just out there. Well, there's laws against that. Just like if they want to...
Hang on. Sorry about that. Something just happened to our recording. Let me see what happened here.
Let's check out where this guy is. That's all...
Let's kind of go back to that. Let's see what just happened. Sorry about that, network land. Let's see if we can do this again. I don't know what just happened there. I think my fingers accidentally touched the keyboard.
Idiot.
All right, we'll go back to it. Well, the reason why I know what you're saying, that it can't, but I think they can. I think you have to opt out of that.
No, I don't think that
because if you join, like if you have see, I have an Android phone, okay, and I have a thing called Latitude on here. Now, if I don't opt out on Latitude, then the public knows where my coordinates, where I am.
Right, but you can opt out of that.
Yeah, right. Well, you could opt out of it, but I think it automatically does it once you join Latitude.
Well, that's something that you joined, though, right?
Well, it came with the phone. I mean, I joined it by just
sign up for it.
No, it's part of Google. When you get a Google account,
I think that's something that you can turn off and on. But let's not talk about your specific phone and your specific program. Let's just talk about the whole general idea of it. The fact that I don't think that they can legally just track anybody they want just for any reason. They have to have. There's got to be a written order from a judge. There has to be.
Okay, so I would say. So what you're thinking is the Supreme Court's going to come back and say you have to have a warrant.
Well, yeah.
What about...
There has to be some sort of documentation. You can't just have somebody arbitrarily deciding they want to.
Well, the Patriot...
And I know that part of the Patriot Act...
it allowed us to do that.
But I think they still had to show reasonable cause. I think the only thing that the Patriot Act did was it sped that up. It gave them the right to do it, but I still think that you can backtrack that and sue or whatever if what they did was just they decided, you know what, I was listening to Phatman's show and I don't agree with what he says. Let's follow him around for a little while, and then if you come back to it, find out they're doing it and stuff, then you might have yourself a case, Well,
we'll see what they come back with this week. Yeah. I don't know because I don't want it to happen to me. But
of course not.
Obviously, if it can defer, if it can keep somebody from blowing up a building or something. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard.
You want to be safe. It's the same thing with the airport. Everybody wants to be safe. Nobody wants to get patted down.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't either. I personally don't
pat
either.
Me down and pat the guy next to me down and pat that little kid down that's carrying a bomb.
Exactly. I don't have any problem with that. But everybody wants to complain when there's terrorist action. But when they go to the airport and it takes them 2 hours to get through and they get their body scanned and all that, then they throw a big old fit and it drives me nuts.
I know. And then when something, God forbid, does happen, all of a sudden, well, why weren't you there?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think we're agreeing on something. That's
I don't like agreeing with you because that makes me think the hammer's going to drop. You wanted to talk about something else you actually sent me an email about today, and I'm going to let you carry it away.
Well, I was interested in what you thought about workers' unions.
Generally, I don't like them.
I know that. And you know what? It's the funny thing because it's very, very, it's one of those subjects that's very, very difficult for me to actually exactly say. You say you don't like them.
No. Well, generally, I don't like them. Yes. I was part of a PAL union. Mm-hmm. I was a steward for that union. Mm-hmm. But generally, unions are not necessary anymore. But I will say there are employers out there, and I worked for an employer that was just a horrible, money-grubbing, greedy company that got away with not having a union for years, and the level of pay and the respect for the employees went to the dirt.
Right.
But I can tell you, other companies that aren't union that have unbelievable benefits and everything else, like the company you work for, there's people there forever. You yourself have been there forever.
Yeah, I've been there almost 20 years.
Yeah, and my parents have a large company in Southern California too, and their employees have been there for years and years and years because they take care of them. So there's both sides.
Well, I think unions have gotten the rap of being greedy, and the reason why they have is because a lot of them are.
I think most of them are.
I think that unions, the way I look at it, is unions are kind of a necessary evil. And back when they first started, they were definitely needed.
You had kids out there working in the field. You had kids working in auto plants.
Definitely needed. But I think that the work that the unions did years and years and years ago paved way for people like me. I have a non-union job, but it kind of keeps the companies honest. It almost has that threat of, we're going to take good care of our employees because we don't want them to unionize. Unfortunately, as with everything, these unions go and they get so greedy, and they just keep asking for more and more. And the problem is you bleed a company dry. And I'm sure plenty of people have talked about this, but a great example is the automotive industry. You know, they just went and they just kept taking and taking and taking and
until
taking
there was nothing left,
and they were not doing themselves any favors in the long run because the automotive industry couldn't sustain that. And now look at them. Look at all of the money that they have to pay for people that don't even work there anymore.
Oh, their working pools they have.
And let me tell you that there's also a problem with the people up top, the very top people who aren't union in the automotive industry is taking home a lot of money. That's an issue too. It's not just the unions, but you know that I don't know. It's like I don't think that they should all go away, because although if they all went away, it probably wouldn't really affect me or you. It would probably it would affect things because it would probably bring costs down a little bit right now, but maybe 50 years from now, I think that the workplace would not be as good to work. You know what I mean? It would give all the power. You have to have like a balance of power. And I think the unions bring that. You don't have to have it. Not every company has to be union, but the fact that they're out there brings that balance of power back, you know, because if I owned a company, the last thing I would want is for my employees to unionize. I wouldn't want them to, because then I see what happens, you know? So it would make me, you know, as an employer, want to be as fair as possible so that doesn't happen.
Well, and I think that is true. I think that once it is a checks and balances again. Right. Once they go away, like we see what's happening in Wisconsin, and they tried in New York, it didn't last very long because New York is extremely strong. I mean, forget it. In New York, right. The show that we're doing here, like we want to go out and do some shows out on the road in Southern California, we can do that. Our crew isn't union here, though everybody here, you know, we make hardly nothing for this. So, why would you know?
Define hardly.
Well, I get a free.
You get free Starbucks.
So well, yes. But I do believe you're right. Here's what a union needs to do to survive. The economy is going down. We could agree on that, correct?
Mm-hmm.
It's not really getting better fast.
Not fast.
And the union has to flex with that.
And they won't.
That's the problem.
That's the problem. We, you know, every time you think about people who are working, and I'm not just talking about unions, you think about people who are working, and whenever their reviews come up, they always go, oh, you know, my reviews come up, I'm supposed to be getting a such and such % raise, you know.
But you don't get them right now.
Everybody, yeah, and then, but companies don't ask people to take less money.
No, but they just say, hey, look, can I not, you know, we're not having a good year.
Right.
We need to, you know, stay one more year.
Everybody wants, everybody wants it to work
That's
only one way.
That's not the way unions work.
No, I know. They won't. Yeah.
They won't. Your contract is up. We want a percentage. We want an increase. And they always go by this minimum cost of living index.
And they'll just absolutely kill the company. They'll just kill the company. You think of all these grocery store workers and they wanted to go on
what they were
strike
fighting
again.
for?
Yeah, it was like
$14.
Yeah.
$14 that they had to pay out of pocket for benefits. And we talked about benefits
We
last
talked
month.
about it last time, how much money we're paying it. I have a hard time feeling sorry for someone who has to pay that. And I get it. Nobody wants to lose, nobody wants to lose. But you have to step back and look and see how the world is a-changing.
It is.
We talked about with the internet and with everything. Everything's changing. You have to adapt, and you can't just hold that company hostage and say we want more, because sometimes there's not more.
Well, the thing about the grocery store, and I know this because I have family members that work for the system. They were the grocery stores themselves were ready this time. They said, look, it's do or die.
Yeah.
I mean, this is it. This is the end.
Yeah.
And Ralph said, look,
they were going to close.
Yeah, they said, we're done. We just can't, we can't make ends meet. And you guys, we're doing the best we can, and you don't want to work with us. So we're just going to close.
Right.
And although I don't know how they got away with that with the NLRB, because because I was a steward, they sent us through classes, and you're not supposed to threaten force closures. But however they got around that, I don't know. But
I don't know if they were threatening. I think they were just stating a fact.
That's it. We're going to close.
Yeah, we're going to close. We're not threatening you. We're not trying to. This is the way it is. We are in dire straits here. You're already trying to squeeze more blood out of this rock, and if you guys strike, that's it. We're not going to be able to make it.
I would like to, we're into 30 minutes, so This is a good long podcast. I would like to do a possible food review.
Oh, I love food.
And then talk to you about what you're planning to do with your lovely wife on Sunday, because it is your anniversary. You're actually on his anniversary, folks, doing the pod and netcast, because we had the camera crew that was here today, and so
16 years I've been married today.
16 wonderful years.
Yes. 16 years.
I can't believe you are still married. And that is your line to me
that
normally.
is my line
but
to
true,
you.
I can't believe it. So what are you guys planning on Sunday?
Well, we're not sure. Everybody feels like they're busy. I don't want to complain or anything, but we right now with the kids and everything, we're just very, very busy. As a matter of fact, the reason why we're not doing anything tonight is because my wife is at a school function with my oldest daughter.
You're not. Wait a minute. You're not here for our viewers? Now our viewers and listeners?
Sure. If you want to think that way, you can.
Yeah.
But,
see, I would be not him.
And then tomorrow I have to work, and my youngest daughter, we're celebrating her birthday tomorrow because her birthday was actually 2 days ago. And so that leaves us Sunday. So we're going to go, and we haven't even decided what we're going to do. Football game's going to end. We're going to leave the kids home, and we're not going to come back for a few hours. And we're not sure what we're going to do.
That's it.
Yes.
This week I ate at Felipe's Pizza Grotto.
Oh, I love that place.
That place is great. In the San Diego area, we have a local chain called Felipe's Pizza Grotto. Mm-hmm.
There's like 5 of them?
Well, San Diego...
the one in San Diego is the original one. That's the best one,
It's
too.
best downtown.
Yes.
Hamul.
There's one up in
Kearney Mesa, Mission Valley. There's one in Poway.
There's one down in Chula Vista, too.
Chula Vista. That one's actually a very good one,
I've
too.
been to that one, too.
And also, there's one in Temecula.
Yes.
I think it is.
The one in Santee is the newest one, I believe.
Well, that's where we went. Went to the Santee one. Excellent food, excellent pizza, excellent Italian food. I had the pizza. My wife had the lasagna. I've been going there for years, but I could not pass up the chance to talk about Felipe's Pizza Grotto.
Yes. At one point, we were actually going there every Friday night, I think.
We were.
Our families
before
were going
you
there.
were on your diet and kind of screwed us all out of that because I still like to go every Friday. Of course. Oh, and by the way, want to apologize for this podcast coming a day late.
Yeah.
Normally the podcast happens on Friday. This week it had to be on a Friday, of course, and the podcast actually won't go out until Saturday.
Right.
I had an engagement I had to go to.
Me too. So.
Gosh, anything else you want to talk about today?
No. Felipe's Pizza was a great thing to talk about, though.
Oh, I could talk about them all the time. All right. Well, I think that's our show for today then, little boy.
Yeah.
All right. Again, thank you for listening. You could always reach us at comments@phatmanandlittleboy.com. You can give us a call.
858-522-9164.
Or you can download us on iTunes.
Yes, download us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter.
I would love for somebody to send us a voicemail.
That would be great.
We had a few more emails this week. I forgot to put them out. I don't know why I always forget to talk about our emails. I really apologize to the ones who sent us the emails. I will get them out next week.
Yes.
Other than that, anything else? So we can just close the show.
I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you again for watching Phatman and Littleboy. I am your host, Phatman, Littleboy, and we will see you real soon.